He might be the only man on planet Earth to be in a movie with Kevin Durant and Kate Winslet, but that's the range that this man has. He is Jim Belushi. As for the Kate Winslet film, it's in theaters near you right now called Wonder Wheel. Jim Belushi, good to see you.
Nice
sir.
to see you, Rich.
How's that for an open?
That was Durant was cool, man. That little basketball movie, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
That was a cute movie.
What was Durant like?
He was man.
Thunderstruck, right?
Yeah, thunderstruck. He was sweet. He was nice. He was 21. I think he turned 21 on the set.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was fine.
Did you have like a birthday party for Kevin Durant?
He was on his social media. His mama was there, and, she was lovely. It was a nice set.
Yeah, and then now he's look at him now. I mean, he's like one of the all-time greats, Kevin Durant. Right?
He is an all-time great. Are you kidding me? He was an all-time great then now, but he can really show his stuff now.
Yeah, so now you're a Chicago guy, as we know. If I had to give you one guy in the history of Chicago sports that you would say this guy represents this town, it doesn't matter, okay?
You don't have to go that far. It's really easy.
Okay, what do you got for
Ernie Banks? I mean, he's the man. Let's play two.
Over Jordan?
Jordan was a Chicago player, but he was everybody's player. You know what I mean? He was a national player. Everybody loved Jordan, and everybody took pride in him, and he's the greatest. And he brought great pride to Chicago. But the essence of the working man and the essence of the heart of Chicago is Ernie Banks, always, I think. I mean, Ditka, he's Chicago, Jordan, sure. But
yeah, there's sweetness too, right? I mean,
sweetness is right there with right Ernie,
there. Yeah. But Ernie Banks.
Ernie, man, let's play two.
Did you ever meet him?
Oh, yes, a couple of times.
What do you got for me on that
nothing.
front?
He's just very chatty, very lovely. He's
right.
Got a great spirit and always positive. And,
right.
He can play through any trouble.
I met him one time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you the story.
Oh, please,
okay?
I love it.
Because I'm with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife. Okay.
Good, I'm glad.
My girlfriend at the time, okay? And we were, because she was covering the Angels for Fox Sports, and I was covering spring training for ESPN, and we met in Phoenix. Okay.
Oh, that's right where they play, yeah.
And so we're at, I think, like the Phoenician Hotel on a driving range.
Yes, I know the Phoenician.
Hitting balls. So it was my wife, me, and then up comes walking Ernie Banks.
Oh,
on a driving range. And we went over to him to say hello to him, and he goes, "You guys have kids yet?" And we're like, No, we're just dating. Starts telling us how we have to get married and must have children.
Ernie, come on, back off. No pressure on the dude, man.
We just need to play one, not two.
No. Oh, God, Ernie.
That's what he did.
That's pressure, Ernie. What are you doing?
But he was just a dude, really? Like a human being, like on planet Earth.
Yes,
right?
and he really does. He really does capture the spirit. I mean, Ditka really, he got us a Super Bowl.
Right.
I mean, it feels to me that we won the Super Bowl 3 years ago, but it was, 30 years ago almost.
It is amazing how long it's been.
It's been a long time. But, as a Cubs fan, we waited 108 years. So
that's nothing.
As long as we got one.
That's right.
As long as we got one, I can carry myself with pride in any city.
Yeah, I was about to say, Jim Belushi here on the Rich Eisen Show, and we'll talk Wonder Wheel in a second. What did that championship mean to you? The Cubs championship mean to you?
It meant that anything can happen. Mm-hmm. If the Cubs can win the World Series, I can do a movie with Woody Allen. I mean, anything can happen.
Right.
It was the most beautiful thing in the world. It was a very tense time. Mm-hmm. And Ricketts was very interesting.
The owner.
He's the owner. Tom Ricketts is the owner, and I talked to him one time. He said, Jim, during the ball game, I go and walk through the crowd since I'm a new owner, and I sit down in empty seats, and I talk to the fans to get to know them, and I do it all the time. He goes, you know what the number one question is I get? I said, what? How old do you think I am? And he would always say, we're going to win the World Series in your lifetime, sir. How old do you think I am? I've been waiting all my life. My poor uncle Dino, he passed away in September before the Cubs won the World Series.
A month before.
Oh, it was so sad. And he was in his bed, and went to visit him, and he goes, "Oh, they're going to choke." I said, "Uncle Dean, stop it. This is the year. They're going to choke. They're going to choke." He's a real Cubs fan forever. But he did pass away without the Cubs winning the World Series. So now, what does it mean to me?
Mm-hmm.
Bears won the Super Bowl. Cubs won the World Series. I can go anytime.
That's it now.
I'm done.
I know. And you sang "Sweet Home Chicago" at
yes.
at Wrigley during, I think, an NLCS game. I
Yes,
saw that.
yeah,
Right?
the play ball.
Reading
That
to that.
one, yeah. Come on, baby, don't you want?
Did you ever meet Harry? Carey? Did you ever
Many times. Many times.
Now, any circumstances that you can?
Well, he was just
communicate?
lovely, and there's some things, here and there, but he was always lovely to me, Jack Brickhouse way back.
Oh, back in the day.
It was a great day in,
Right.
Chicago baseball when Jimmy Belushi comes up to the booth. "How are you, Jimmy?
Right.
Got any vodka?"
Nice.
No, Harry, no vodka.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Was your brother into this as much? Was John into the Cubs?
You know
as
what?
much,
He
or no?
got me into the Cubs because, and I've told this to Bob Newhart.
Okay.
Bob Newhart's a big Chicago guy, and
Sure.
Cubs fan.
Yeah.
And when my brother John was very young, he went to the ball game and he got Bob Newhart's autograph on a popcorn box
At Wrigley?
at Wrigley Field. Bob was so sweet to John, and John came home so excited, and I was like, "Wow, magic can happen in Wrigley Field. I want to go. I want to go."
And that's how your Wrigley fandom in a way got sparked.
Right through Bob Newhart.
And your brother.
And my brother and Jack Brickhouse. They have a great marketing tool there. They give free tickets to Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts and organizations. And our Cub Scout Den 7, we had free tickets to Wrigley Field, and we all went. And sure enough, Jack Brickhouse goes, "It's a great day in Wrigley Field. The Chicago Cubs win." Den 7 from Wheaton, Illinois, comes to and all of a sudden we were stars.
Hey!
So yeah, magic can happen in Wrigley Field, and magic happened. We won the World Series.
Jim Belushi here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, tell me about Wonder Wheel here. Kate Winslet, Justin Timberlake, Juno Temple, and you essentially carry the film here.
Oh, it's Kate's film. She is just terrific in this film, and I'm fortunate to be in it. And Woody Allen selecting me was a big deal in itself. I mean, Woody is an auteur artist at the highest level, and it was, like I said, it was an honor to be in it. The movie is like a play. I mean, it takes place in the 1950s. It feels like a Tennessee Williams play or an Arthur Miller play. It's very dramatic and very performance-orientated, and Kate is just beautiful in it, and it's probably the best work I've done.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And you play
Humpty. That's his name, Humpty.
And you run the carousel.
I run the carousel in
at
Coney Island, and she is works in the oyster bar on Coney Island, and we're flat broke, and she lost her husband, and I lost my wife, and it was a terrific tragedies for both of us, and we kind of found each other. I always feel in a bar, on the floor, blackout drunk, and we kind of saved each other. And then my daughter comes back, Carolina, that beautiful girl you saw there, and she was married to a mobster, and she turned over state evidence, and so she's hiding out with me. And it changes the Wonder Wheel.
Yes.
The wheel changes, and then there's lots of drama after that. It's very, very good.
It's in select theaters near you right now. And, I mean, when you talk about some of the directors that you have worked with, okay, and, some of them just jump out at me because I'm a big pop culture freak. John Hughes being one, and Curly Sue. What was it like working with John Hughes?
John was he's a very gifted writer, director. He's a very talented man and very challenging on the set, which brings out great performances. But he was really great for Chicago. He brought all his movies to Chicago, put a lot of people to work in Chicago, including me.
Right.
So he's another Chicago icon there with the Jordans and everybody else.
Sure. And so is Mamet, too, you could say, too, right?
David Mamet.
About Last Night.
About Last Night,
was a great film.
That was the one. I did a stage play in Chicago, and then Don Simpson from Paramount came and saw the play, and he said to me, he goes, "Yeah, you should write a screenplay on this." So I told the producers what he said, And they got really excited, very naively, and they
Right.
wrote a script. And so I gave it to Don, and he loved it. And 2 weeks later, I get a call from my brother, John. And he goes, Simpson just offered me and Danny the roles in Sexual Perversity in Chicago, which was about last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, don't do it. He goes, oh, come on, Jimmy, you don't understand Hollywood. They're heat-seeking missiles. Danny and I are hot. They're going to give it to me and Dana. They're not going to give it to you. You're still a kid in Chicago. I said, don't do it, John. I said, it's my role. I developed it on stage. This is my puppy. I can't eat a cheeseburger. I can't lift a sword. I can't do Henry Kissinger. You've sucked everything out. Marlon Brando, this is my role. Leave it alone. He goes, Jimmy, if I pass on it, they're going to offer it to Billy Murray. Now, wouldn't you rather have someone in your family do it? What a jerk. I said, don't do it. Yeah, you don't understand Hollywood. And he hung up. Mm-hmm. Well, sure enough, John and Danny passed, and Bill Murray passed. I think John might have had a little something to do with it.
No kidding.
Yeah, and then it went into Turnaround, and TriStar picked it up, and I got the role. And that was the movie, the role of my career. It changed my life.
So, and you're great in it, and it lasts today. I mean, you've been in some of the remote drop movies, like that one in Trading Places.
Well, Trading Places.
You're right in the end there. Right in the end there on the train.
Yes.
And that's
partying.
What was that like being on that set?
That was a great set because I was a very young actor at the time.
1983.
Yeah, and it was great because there was a lot of snowstorms that happened that month. And I was only supposed to work for a week, and I ended up working for a month. And so I made a lot of money, and it was a lot of fun. And Eddie was doing good, and I just got on Saturday Night Live. It was a good time. It was a good time. But I worked with Michael Mann in Thief, the first movie.
Of course.
Shot that in Chicago.
That's 1981.
Yeah, then Oliver Stone and Salvador, and I just worked with Polanski and now Woody Allen. It's just been a lovely career. I've been having a nice time.
Yeah, David Lynch too. Let's not sleep on him.
Oh, David!
Well,
Twin Peaks.
Oh my gosh,
that was really good this year. That was a really nice surprise.
Wonder Wheel in select theaters and theaters near you. It started just earlier this month. Amazon Studios film Wonder Wheel with you, Jim Belushi. Come back anytime, sir.
Thank you so much.
Lots of fun. You got it.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.